We target investment returns of up to 15% or higher, which makes it pretty unique in the streaming space. In the mining and energy space, returns are much lower than that. And the reason we're able to do that is because of our first mover advantage.
Today, we're going to be talking about the company and also about the catalyst for growth of what is going to happen or potentially happen in the carbon streaming industry. So stay tuned and watch the video all the way through as we're going to get into some of those catalysts at the end. Now, Justin, let's start off with what is Carbon Streaming Corp and what are you doing?
Carbon Streaming is a publicly listed company, and we raise capital from the public markets and invest in the fight against climate change and invest in projects that are creating a positive change in local communities where these carbon projects are based. And we're doing that through the royalty and streaming business model, which is a proven model that allows us to invest directly into these projects. And in exchange for our upfront investment, we get a stream of carbon credits in return.
What I want to understand is why now is the right time and why you've taken and raised this capital to start investing in these projects.
Yeah, we really see that we're at an inflection point with the carbon credit markets around the world. We have governments and corporations and investors and individuals finally making climate change a priority. And we've really seen this over the last 12 months. And we expect that means we're in a market that's going to see much higher carbon prices, much higher demand for carbon projects around the world. And we really think we're just in the early innings of this carbon industry.
Well, with that, I do want to touch a bit on the carbon streaming model you guys are using, or excuse me, the streaming model you're using. But what I hear here and see is this is finally capitalism in essence meeting conservation and using capital to invest in projects that can conserve the earth and help fight and help propel ESG objectives.
Absolutely. When you think about these carbon projects, these project developers have been starved for capital for the last 10 years. And so when we came out and we brought this streaming model, it was a new source of capital and a new structure, frankly, that project developers had never seen before. And we have a firm belief that the public markets have to play a major role in fighting climate change if we want to get anywhere close to limiting global temperature increases to less than 2 degrees. And the streaming model, given it's proven to work in the mining and energy space, we believe this was a perfect commodity to take this same business model to.
And something I find interesting is you are effectively investing in project developers, those who understand the areas in which they're aiming to protect, but also understand the community relations, understand the local economies, and they're the ones who need the capital. So, as part of your investment strategy, you're looking for the individuals who are able to deploy that capital, correct?
Absolutely. We're looking to partner with proven project developers and proven project developers that also have the relationships at the local community levels. These projects are highly dependent on community support, and so that becomes a very key diligence item for us as we're investing our capital.
And let's walk through one of those projects, the Marvivo project. This is a really interesting mangrove project, but it also has a blue carbon aspect to it. So, can you build on what Marvivo is and what it means to carbon streaming?
Absolutely. Marvivo is just a project that we were thrilled about from day one. As you indicated, it's a mangrove conservation project in Baja California in Mexico. We're partnering with a group called Infinite Earth, who are proven project developers and have developed one of the most successful carbon projects around the world. They have a tremendous relationship with the local community, which I witnessed a couple of weeks ago when I was down on site. And because it's a blue carbon project, what that means is not only are you protecting the mangroves, but you're also protecting the marine environment around the mangroves. And so you're protecting sharks and sea turtles and sea rays and many other endangered species. And so we're really, really thrilled to be partnered with Infinite Earth as they develop this project over the next couple of years.
When you were at Marvivo, I imagine you probably had one or two awe-inspiring moments. What took you back? What just said, "Hey, we're doing something right here"?
Well, what took me back was first the amount of mangroves that have been lost to shrimp farming and aquaculture over the past number of years. And so, what this project is really doing is protecting these mangroves from further deforestation and destruction. But also the remoteness. This is a really spectacular part of the world, and really as part of this project, Marvivo is planning to bring in sort of an ecotourism business that can help drive a sustainable economy for the local communities in Magdalena Bay. And this, I tell you, is an absolute spectacular place that you would love to bring your family and do the various safaris and shark diving and whale diving. It's really a magnificent part of the world in need of a new economy and in need of protection.
Now, connect the dots for me between investing in a conservation project for carbon credits, but then also seeing the buildup of a local economy. How does that work?
So these local economies, when we think about the local communities around these carbon projects, often they are in very isolated parts of the world with very few other sources of income other than relying on deforesting, an existing forest or destroying an existing mangrove. So the whole purpose of a carbon project is to bring a new source of income and put a value on the standing carbon sinks where they are today, and a value that then can be utilized to support investment into the local economies from a source other than deforestation and destruction. And that's exactly what they're looking to do at Marvivo, and what we've seen in many of our other projects around the world.
And a final point to Marvivo that I think is interesting is just a further discussion about blue carbon and the mangroves being a carbon sink. Why is that so important? Why is this something that is outstanding? And let's connect it back to an investment thesis. How does that turn into what could be a highly valuable carbon credit?
Yeah, so mangroves themselves have up to 10 times the carbon sequestration capacity of a terrestrial based forest. So they are incredible carbon sinks, and actually 70% of the carbon in a mangrove is below ground, trapped in the soils. And because of the blue carbon aspect, because you're protecting a marine environment, it makes it a really unique source of a carbon credit, and a carbon credit that we expect will be highly desirable for North American buyers. Again, especially because this is a project that's in our backyard in North America. And so, as this project gets developed over the next couple of years and has itself a 30-year life, we expect this to be a highly desirable project, and expect to be able to sell our carbon credits at a fairly significant premium over the next 30 years.
That brings me into the discussion of economics. What are the economics of investing in these carbon projects? And what should investors know about that?
So we target investment returns of up to 15% or higher, which makes it pretty unique in the streaming space. In the mining and energy space, returns are much lower than that. And the reason we're able to do that is because of our first mover advantage, but also because there are 4,700 projects in existence today, and hundreds, if not thousands more, that have to be developed to get anywhere close to our Paris Agreement commitments. So just tremendous investment opportunities, and we are targeting these significantly higher returns than you see in other parts of the streaming business.
Can you also talk about some of the other projects you've invested in or looking to invest in?
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, Marvivo and Infinite Earth as a proven project developer, one of the first projects they developed was a project called Rimba Raya in Borneo. Rimba Raya is this fantastic project that we invested in several months ago. And we invested almost $45 million of capital into Infinite Earth in this project. And this is a project that creates about 3.5 million carbon credits on an annual basis, and has done so for over 10 years. and through these carbon credits and monetizing these carbon credits, they've invested substantially in the local community in things like a floating medical facility, in clean energy, in water sanitation projects, in education and job training, in scholarships, and things like providing eyeglasses to a local community that's never seen an optometrist. So it really is a fascinating project.
Why is it important to be investing in a project that provides sanitary water or eyeglasses? Like, how does that end up providing a return in the capital markets?
Yeah, so primarily we're putting a price on carbon and preventing, in this case, a peat swamp in Borneo from being converted into a palm oil plantation, which actually had been previously gazetted to be turned into a palm oil plantation. So that source of capital that the carbon project now provides is a key to encouraging the community to fight against palm oil plantations, of course. But for us, as we invest capital and 3.5 million carbon credits are coming back to us every year, we turn around and sell and monetize those carbon credits to corporate buyers around the world. And then we share in that revenue with our project developers and thereby can earn a return on our upfront investment.
What I see here is this is capitalism meeting conservation, where you're effectively finding the best use for that land. And a palm oil plantation would yield something to the market, whereas preserving and protecting this environment and supporting a local economy has a far better impact, both from an environmental standpoint, but and a capital standpoint in going into the future.
Absolutely. Like what we're doing is putting a price on carbon, right? And putting a price on preventing deforestation. And that is absolutely necessary if we want to end deforestation and help fight climate change. Yes, we need energy efficiency and we need to reduce our carbon footprints as well, but we also need to put a price on carbon so that we can end deforestation. And these carbon projects are just a tremendous way to do that and use that capital to invest in communities and rural communities that don't have many other sources of income.
And once these carbon credits are sequestered, taken from the projects as part of your investment, received from the projects as part of your investment, who are they of an interest to? And who is the buyers or who are the buyers for these?
Yeah, so we're primarily selling them to corporations around the world, some individuals as well who are looking to offset their carbon footprint. But these are largely, large corporations around the world that are looking to offset their carbon footprint and become net zero, and show that they're being good corporate citizens by participating in the fight against climate change. And we see more and more corporations almost weekly that are committing to being net zero, and buying carbon offsets has become a key part of these net zero ambitions.
I want to highlight this too, because in our previous conversation, you discussed, as an example, PwC, which is a major international accounting firm. Who else? Who else are examples that are buyers of these?
So if we look at our Rimbaraya project, we've had Gucci as a major international buyer. Delta Airlines has been a major international buyer. As you mentioned, PwC, they actually have a website dedicated to their support of the Rimbaraya project. Many other financial institutions, insurance companies. So it really is, a large set of corporate buyers. But again, that group of corporate buyers is growing just about every day, and we are incredibly encouraged by the level of interest that we see, specifically in that Rimbaraya project from buyers around the world.
Let's wrap this up with understanding some of the catalysts you're seeing for Carbon Streaming Corp as well as the carbon streaming industry. What can you tell us, and what should investors be looking out for?
Yeah, well, listen, we have at Carbon Streaming Corporation, we have an investment pipeline of over $700 million. in over 80 opportunities that we're currently chasing. I believe over the next 6 to 12 months that we will be actively deploying our existing capital on our balance sheet. So several investments that I expect to make in the near term. Also, a U.S. listing. We've just recently consolidated our share price. That will open us up to a whole new set of investors that haven't been able to invest in the company to date. So we're incredibly excited about that. But then, even more broadly, from the carbon credit market perspective, as I was saying, every day we're seeing more actors and more players entering into this space to help fight climate change. That we expect to have a significant increase in demand for carbon credit projects around the world, which we expect to also result in significantly higher prices over the next 5 to 10 years. And at carbon streaming, we're providing that perfect leverage for our investors to that move in carbon prices.
Final wrap up. Final thoughts for investors looking at Carbon Streaming Corp. Is there anything that you would like them to take away?
We're the only major player that I'm aware of that provides pure leverage to the expected move in carbon prices over the next several years. But also, we're utilizing our capital to truly make a positive, to truly have a positive impact and make a real difference in the lives of the local communities where these projects are based. And so we're really, really thrilled about our partnerships and excited to bring this model to the public markets and offer investors that kind of leverage and exposure.